Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights and welcome to another 2 for Tuesday, that easy open tag that I invite all channels to participate in. Hey, just grab a couple of knives and talk about them. Well, on today's 2 for Tuesday, I got to do just a little bit of a mea culpa. I recently released a video on the different versions of the Scrade contracted Buck 301 knives, and I got to do some minor corrections to the record. And I'd like to just begin by saying this is why I emphasize on a lot of my videos, do your own research. There's always conflicting information out there, and it's hard to get confused. This is one of the reasons why I'm buying so many different models of the 301, is because you really got to have them in hand to look at them to be able to compare them. So in that video, I identified this knife here as a version 3 of the Scrade contracted 301. However, due to some viewer input, I believe this to be one of the early versions, very early versions of the Camillus contracted. And I should have caught that, and I should have known it, but I ordered it from a place. I didn't get it on eBay. I got it from a store that's been very reputable before, and this store had identified this as a Scrade contracted knife. And so when I did that video, I didn't do any double checking. I didn't look close enough. I just had it in my mind that, this was a Scrade contracted knife. Again, after some viewer input, I realized that things didn't quite add up correctly. Now, the information I gave on the series of Scrade contracted Buck 301s, I believe that is still correct. It's just that I was showing you a wrong example of a version 3. So it appears the only Scrade contracted version I have is version 1, and it's very tellable because of those grooved bolsters. That's not in dispute whatsoever. What I should have looked at, and again, I just had it in my mind that it was a Scrade, but if I had taken a closer look at the clip blades on these, you can see that the clip blades are different. The nail nicks, even though they're both real long nail nicks, the one on the what I believe Camillus made is longer and a little deeper, more pronounced than on the Scrade here. And if we look at the swedge there, we can see that nice pronounced swedge, and you don't quite see that on this knife here. You don't really see. It's a very, very tiny swedge, if any, up there. So that's why I'm believing this to be a Camillus made. Some other little differences that I see here is when we look at the pins. We got 3 pins here, but this middle pin on the Scrade looks to be very small as compared to the pin on this one. It's hard to tell. But also, the actual frame on the Scrade made, I believe, are a little bit different. You can see it's got more of a serpentine here, more of a curve. So if you line them up, I don't know how well you can see that, but if you look right down in there, you can see that the frames don't match up. Let me see if I can get a better shot of that. Hopefully that comes through. So I got to go back to the drawing board. I got to go back and I got to do some more research. So again, I want to apologize if I misled anybody. Again, I think the info on the Scrade contracted knives was correct on the different versions. I just showed you an incorrect representation of one of those versions. And I'm going to contact this company. I still want to keep this knife because I think it's still a fine specimen. And I don't think I have one of these early versions of the Camillus. So I'll keep that. I'm going to try to track down some more, the other 2 versions of the Scrade contracted. And, one other little thing. I said in the Scrade made, you won't see any pins through the bolsters because of the Swindon system. After I got this cleaned up, if I'd have taken the time, and this is my mistake. I should have taken the time and looked closer. But if you look closer, it looks like you can see the outline of a pin there. So that's another, you can just barely see it there. So I should have taken just a little bit more time, but I went with the information from the seller that it was a Scrade, so I didn't give it a close enough look. So I hope this helps. I want to try to do a video, do my utmost best at my research, and for most of this information I'm giving you comes from the Buck Collectors Club. I assume what they are telling me is true. Those are guys that live, eat, breathe buck and have for many, many years, and I believe they're an authoritative source. So just so you know, that's where I'm getting most of my information on these knives. So again, I'm sorry if I misled you. Do your own research. This was a painful video to do. I didn't want to have to do this video. I always feel bad if I put out some wrong information, but I just felt like I needed to correct the record. So until next time, have a very delightful day.